Nina was a 23-year-old fitness coach. She usually got home to her quaint one-bedroom house just before dusk. She'd recently purchased her home, her first, and she was very proud of it, even if it was a little small. It was all she needed for one person, she thought when she saw it. Well, one person and a cat she'd adopted so she wouldn't be alone. Skip was his name. He was white and yellow with fluffy hair. She loved him very much, and she thought that he made a great addition to her home. She bought him a red collar with his name on it and a bell so he jingled wherever he walked. One evening she came home to find that her mailbox was open and there wasn't any mail in it. She didn't remember seeing it open when she'd left, but figured maybe the mailman had accidentally thought she had mail and forgot to close the flap. Several times now she'd come home to find something a little off. Nothing big, nothing particularly bothersome, but just off. She found her mail on her porch one day. On another day she found a flower on her windowsill. Besides that being odd in itself, it had been cut from her own flower bush. This evening she'd come home and seen her neighbor, across the street and 2 doors down. She didn't know her neighbors well. They'd all come to introduce themselves when she'd moved in. Some brought food, cookies, cupcakes. The man in his yard now was Justin. He was a police officer, often parking his cruiser in his driveway. She liked that when she come to tour her house for the first time. She thought that would make her feel a little safer. She waved to Justin and he waved back. She decided that she should go and speak with him. Ask him if he'd seen anything strange at her house, anyone in her yard. She walked across the street and he greeted her warmly. "Hello, Nina. How do you like the neighborhood so far?" he asked. "I like it very much, thank you," she answered. "Is there something I can do for you on this beautiful day?" She then asked him if he'd seen anything in her yard and described the odd occurrences that she'd been experiencing. He replied that he hadn't, but that he'd for sure keep an eye out for her. She thanked him, told him that he should come by the gym sometime and take her class, and he joked that he could, but he's just so busy saving the city from the bad guys that darn, he might not have time. She laughed and said, Yeah, I understand. He seemed sweet, she thought, as she walked back to her house. She called Skip when she got to the door. "Here, kitty, kitty," she said. Skip didn't come running to greet her as he usually did. "Here, kitty, kitty. Skip, Mommy's home." Still nothing. She thought. I guess he must be out making new friends. That night she was washing dishes after she'd eaten dinner, and when she's done, she dried the sink, turned off the kitchen light, and opened the front door to call Skip again. Still nothing. She was starting to feel worried now. She hadn't had him long, but it still didn't seem like him to just wander off. As she walked across her front window, she turned her head, slightly. A motion had caught her attention, and she turned to see if Skip had run across the yard. But what she saw instead was a figure, about 3 feet from her window. The person was dressed in all black except for a white mask, the kind like the one that's in some horror movie, the kind you can buy in any costume shop. She stopped and screamed louder than she'd ever had before. She ran towards her door, not sure if she'd locked it when she'd stepped out. She got to it and locked it, just as she saw the door handle move. Slowly. She ran to her phone and dialed 911. "Help! There's someone trying to get in my house! Quick! They're out there!" Within what felt like hours, but was actually only 2 minutes, a squad car pulled up, and a few minutes later there was another. 4 officers came to her door. One of the officers was Justin, and he was with his partner. They said that they'd looked around the house and there was nothing there. The other 2 officers said they hadn't seen anyone running down the street. Justin's partner told Nina that it was her lucky day. They'd just been 1 block over, grabbing a snack. They told her to make sure all of her windows were locked, and then Justin and his partner offered to park outside her house for a while. "Yeah," said Justin. "We're off duty anyway now. Maybe it'll help if someone sees that you have a police presence." Nina was so grateful for that. She thanked them profusely and locked the door. She just wanted to go to bed, so she decided it was time to turn in. Just before she got into bed, she looked outside, and both officers waved to her from their car. Phew. She thought it felt a lot better now. She laid down, but after an hour of tossing and turning, she decided to just get up and make some coffee. She'd take a couple of cups out to Justin and his partner, too, she thought. They must be tired by now. She walked into the kitchen, turned on the light, and looked out the window. The 2 officers waved to her, and she waved back. As soon as the coffee was brewed, she grabbed 2 cups to take to the officers, and just as she started for the door, she heard a bell. The bell from Skip's caller. She opened the door quickly to let him in, but standing on her porch was Justin. She started to tell him that she was on her way out to their car when she noticed that in his hand was Skip's collar. She looked past him to the car to see his partner, but he was slumped over, which is when she noticed Justin put on a white mask, and he had a bloody knife in his hand.